Someone's asking me for the link already. The public wants to know.
All of our big following, our big fan base.
All right, we'll give everybody a minute or the link already. The public wants to know.
And here comes our big fan base.
All right, please understand, you can tell these speakers are very sensitive, so.
Yeah.
We'll give everybody a moment to, log in live if they so desire. You know what, I'm gonna make sure Don is here. Yeah, we're getting ready.
Can't find it. You know what, you don't have the folder, do you, of the ethics commission? Ken just gave me the data.
All right, we live, Chris? Okay, and is anybody logged into, YouTube to confirm that we are public?
I'm going to be late.
It's showing up in the upper corner of the screen. It says live YouTube.
All right, anybody logged in, Chris?
Checking on my phone, so I don't get
Oh, all right.
lose that.
Appreciate your patience. All right, I say we're live. Ready?
Yep, we're good.
Call the meeting to order.
All right, call this meeting to order. Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance.
Pledge of allegiance. Pledge of allegiance to the flag
To the flag
United States
of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
First you. That's interesting.
All right, roll call.
Mr. Brooks,
Here.
Mr. Brown,
Here.
Mrs. Davis,
Here.
Mr. DeFrancesco,
Here.
Mr. Giroux,
Here.
Mr. Gulick,
Here.
Mr. Johnston,
Here.
Mr. Lynch,
I'm here.
Mr. Valesky.
Here.
Thank you. Okay. everybody.
All right, everybody's here. Nice.
All right, approval of meeting minutes. Recommend approval of the minutes of the April 14th, 2020 virtual public school board voting meeting.
So move.
Second.
Was that Brown?
Yeah.
Yes. Sorry.
Thank you.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
We have, no presentations today. We have, one public address from a student delegate that we're gonna play for you momentarily. We're going to play the audio, Chris.
All right.
Good evening. My name is Vernon McWright. I'm a staff writer for the Panther Press, and I'm here to update you on what is happening at Fettertown High School. On Tuesday, May 5th, Principal Tom Baker and Assistant Patty Coker, along with 18 faculty members, delivered yard signs and caps and gowns to the homes of our seniors. You can see complete coverage of the event on the Panther Press media. The caravan traveled 130 miles over the course of 9 hours making delivery. Community reaction has been overwhelmingly positive. On May 8th and 9th, Secretary administrators and their families delivered yard signs to all teachers for Teacher Appreciation Week. This is the first time Secretary teachers have received signs, and they were very appreciative of the recognition. Secretary High School is excited to congratulate the following students who have been accepted for the 2020-2021 school year at the Crawford County Career and Technical Center. Blake Boylan, Allison Cornell, Hunter Craig, Chandler Davison, Eddie Hazlett, Noah Keitlinger, Jamison McIntyre, Marie McCowan, Joseph Perry, Noel Williams, Zachary Yoder, Marley Ferguson, Olivia Lallman, Abigail Shields, Macy Troples, and Madison Walker. Secretary Students of the Month for April were recognized in a video created by Student Council Advisor Phil Young. Congratulations to Rhea Schlosser, Sadie Pollock, Brennan McWright, Nico Fritz, Matt Nail, and Norm Haylett. Recording will begin tomorrow for the virtual graduation video. Seniors have signed up for recording times in the auditorium to film their walk across the stage. The video will premiere on June 5th. On Wednesday, May 13th, Cheddartown campus will hold a reverse parade so students and families can see their teachers. Almost 60 staff members will be in attendance. The event will run from 4 to 6 p.m. See Panther Press Media for the parade route and more details. AP, or Advanced Placement exams, begin this week. Secretary has over 90 exams scheduled across a variety of subjects. Good luck to all test takers. Panther Press Senior Publications Editor Caitlin Cazala has earned 4th place in the nation for general content and online outstanding coronavirus coverage from the National Scholastic Press Association. Cazala received the award for the article, Shutdown Column, When Your Dad Works at WabTech, You Worry. To view the complete list of winners, visit NSPA/OCC. Thank you for your time. We look forward to updating you next month. Thank you for making decisions to keep us safe.
Thank you. We do not have any registered citizens' comments. I have received 2 citizens' comments related to one of our school policies that I'll express on their behalf later on. Education. Item A, recommend approval of the 2020 Pencrest graduates as attached. This is executive content, not for public consumption.
On behalf of the committee, so moved. Brooks.
Second, Gulick.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Item B, recommend approval of the letter of agreement with Crawford County Human Services for Student Assistance Program Mental Health Liaison as attached. This is required by the school code, and it is something standard we always approve.
On behalf of the committee, so moved. Brooks.
Second, Gulick.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
Item C, purchase of iPads. Recommend approval of the attached quote to purchase 1,200 iPads. This is a quote that we've got recently. The board hasn't had an opportunity to discuss this. I wanted to provide some background information and then have the board have some discussion, as this is the first time that anyone's really hearing it or seeing it as we begin to converse moving forward with our continuity of education plan. With the conversation right now at the state level and the very real possibility of a remote learning environment next year, whether that is a hybrid and remote or distance learning program to some degree, similar to what our flexible instruction day program or our continuity of education plan is this year, in order to move forward and provide better instruction, plan instruction, learning and student engagement. Right now, administration believes that we need to order the other, quote unquote, half of the new iPads. I know this has been a controversial topic for the last couple of years in its use and implementation. 2 years ago or last year, we approved the lease to purchase option for half of the iPads that our students currently use with newly designed cases. They're, been relatively successful in their use. The current iPads that we have are the older cases with the keyboards that cause them to break, as well as not allow us to permit certain functionality with our JAMP software systems. Earlier in the year, probably around version 2 of the budget, we removed $165,000 in a 3-year lease to own program. Currently, the 1,200 iPads in cases would cost the district $394,740. This is a substantial amount of money, specifically when we're talking about a budget of $1.5 million. The plan is to utilize about half of the money that we anticipate with the U.S. Federal CARES Act. Technically, I think it's the UESR, United States Elementary Secondary School Recovery Program. There is some $300 million, I believe, that was distributed to Pennsylvania. Our portion of that is $780,000. So to use that money, there are a variety of stipulations about what you can do and how you can use that money. The federal government and state are recommending one-time purchases because we do not anticipate this additional money. There are also rules and regulations around what we can do with this money. Additionally, with the other half, we'll have more conversation about that. It may be hotspots and cell service to provide some of our families that don't have service. We're using it to amplify our Wi-Fi system inside and outside of our buildings for remote learning as well. We're using some of that money. We anticipate some of that money for what is called future education expenditures regarding our special education students in compensatory education, as well as money to offset any deficit in our food service program as we continue to provide meals. So that is kind of what administration has outlined that money. Obviously, all that money is approved by the board as we submit those through the federal grant program system. So I wanted to provide you with an overview of those funds and how we anticipate that expenditure. As we take what we have was, and everybody has this, this school year's continuity of education plan was hastened, without a doubt. Remember, we were shut down for 2 weeks and said no one's allowed to learn. And then halfway through those 2 weeks, they said, hey, we want you to start providing educational services. And, we took 3 days to plan and implement, and I think our teachers and principals and technicians have done a great job with the support system that we had in place. Everyone's working extremely hard. Now that we have 3 months to plan, we believe that the purchase of iPads to go to a truly to a one-to-one environment with reliable devices that have better functionality, we can start to focus on our second phase of this, which is developing 7 learning modules for teachers that we plan to push out between now and our deadline right now is July 30. These online learning modules for to teachers to continue to use their skills and amplify their skills to engage students in learning and enhance what skill they have now. We also have additional professional development days at the beginning of the school year where we can provide some direct hands-on-hands instruction on how to utilize those iPads in that environment. So I'll stop talking and let the board ask questions or discuss amongst themselves regarding this purchase.
You have to make a motion first?
Well, I made the motion. I recommended that. No one made the motion. No, you're right.
Well, I move to accept the recommendation of the superintendent.
Second, Brooks.
Second.
Well, that after the hopefully school gets back to normal, whatever that may be, when the kids come back to class, what about these iPads then? How are we going to use these iPads when the kids come back to school? I understand for the learning that they're doing now, the off-site learning. But when the kids come back to school, are these iPads going to get utilized to their fullest potential? Or are they going to be like kind of like what they have now, which, like I said, I've made it clear before the meeting what my feelings are.
I mean, I think it's our intent to use them as a tool, similar to textbooks, et cetera. Certainly, certain people use them, to different degrees. I think as we continue to have this conversation regarding textbooks, as we, move to adopt, this upcoming year, our goal is to discuss social studies, and science textbook adoptions, not K to 12, 3 or 4 to 12. When we move into that model, we're looking at buying classroom sets, physically for the classroom, 30, 40, and then purchasing online licenses where those students can use those textbooks online at home. So they're reducing some of that stuff. And I understand that the board has had this conversation before, and I agree that the district could have done a better job at the implementation stage for sure. I understand that, and I agree with you.
Well, I've been on the board for 3-4 years now, and this is like Groundhog Day again with these iPads. And I've really been trying to be open-minded about this, but I just have my doubts. I guess I'll just leave it at that. We can vote on it as a board.
Well, I'm with you there. They're definitely not being used to their full potential because they're still dragging home 20 pounds of books every day.
Well, I just get tired of hearing how one class can use them this way, but another class in the same grade level can't use it this way. There's no, okay, this is a rule. This is how we're using it. Let's enforce the rule. Let's make a policy about the rule, but nobody enforces it. So the computers were supposed to be used a certain way, but some teachers don't like them, some do. So we'd use them however we feel like. And I guess that's the part that upsets me. I'm not afraid to spend money on our kids because it's very important for our students to get everything they need. I'm just tired of people making up their own rules as we go. I guess that's where I'm at with this.
I agree, Tim. I'm not 100% convinced. I have always said that the iPads are not used to their potential, and that's understandable. Some people are better at technology than others. Some people are a little more motivated than others. So I think that's kind of natural. But like you said, if we had a specific iPad curriculum or specific guidelines on how to use them or when to use them, that might work better. Again, I agree with you that we need to get for our kids what they need, but we also need to train the teachers on how to use them and make sure they're using them.
Well, and like I said, and you all take this how you want, but it has to start at the top, and there has to be repercussions for people not doing what they're supposed to. And I am going to be a stickler on this.
Tim, I said that 2 years ago. So, I mean,
I have no idea.
What needs to be done for that to happen?
There has to be adequate training to the teachers. And I will say one thing teachers in the past have told me, like with Mr. Williams, when he was in there, he brought teachers in, he trained them on updates. He got them all up on the same speed, the best of his ability on it, which I think is an awesome deal. We're handing out iPads, and there was teachers that took them 3 months to get a password so they could use a printer this last time. And tech tickets after tech tickets after tech tickets go in. Nothing gets done. And I get tired of hearing the same thing and it was all 6 buildings I was hearing the same things about. And when I bring it up, everybody look at me like I had 3 heads. So I just have my doubts. This last year, I'm just telling you, I just have lost a lot of, I guess I don't know how to say it properly, but if we move forward, I'm telling you, I am going to be a stickler, and every problem, you guys are not going to like me. You're not going to like me at all.
I agree with what Tim's saying. My take on this is we have this one-time infusion of federal funds, and if we can make a decision, the quicker we make the decision, the sooner we get the iPads and the sooner we can get them set up so that they have a better chance of being used correctly. Down the road, I think this is something we can use for our flexible instruction days. I know that we had concerns about how well we could do those last year prior to being forced to use flexible instruction days. And I think our teachers have really risen to the occasion for the most part. So that's kind of where I am at with it, is we have this one-time use. This is something we can use, and the sooner we decide to do it, the better chance we have of succeeding. Thank you.
I think I agree with everything that's just been said too. I feel like to not use this opportunity to purchase the iPads would be a mistake. But I fear that in the year 2020, whether it's everyone's preference or not, that's just where we need to be as a district, is to kind of streamline using these things in our school. The only concern I have as far as education right now at home is where do we stand district wide with students having access to internet? You know, I know my two little ones have iPads at home, but we don't have dependable internet to be able to use it. So, you know, that's another factor. Are we focusing right now on our continuity of learning, or are we focusing long term using the iPads in the buildings once we're back?
I think it's both.
Yeah.
It's both. And I mean, I don't have a problem at all with buying the iPads. And like Jeff said, I mean, it's a one-time lump of federal money that, I mean, with all federal money, there's strings attached. So we are limited on what we can use it for. We can use it for this. And I agree 100% with Tim. Okay, I've been on the board for quite a while, and I don't know how many times I have said it, and it's not the current administration necessarily. It's previous administration. I mean, we suck at rolling things out. We do. And that doesn't mean that we should just stop trying. And I think Tim hit something that he said, you know, the teachers need to be trained. I mean, the first time we bought iPads, I wasn't on the board. I was sitting in the audience. I mean, they brought it up, they voted on it, and they gave iPads out. The teachers never got any kind of training. And I think we're getting better. The teachers are using it. And as far as, you know, it's not, the iPads aren't being used in every class, and they can't be used in every class. I mean, because I know after they bought them the first time, there was a big push to use them in every class. I mean, my kids were using their iPads in gym class to track the times they went around the gym. Okay, that's a waste. Yeah. They don't need to be used in every class. Does it need to be consistent? Absolutely. But we need to provide the training and everything, the resources for the teachers to get them there. And if they flat out refuse, yeah, we need to deal with that. But we need to start moving forward, because like Jen said, like it or not, this is probably where we need to be in the very near future.
You know, I listen to everybody, and I'm getting confused because originally the idea of the iPad was to substitute the textbooks so that the kids can have access to whatever they need to learn, whatever the teacher tells them to do right on there. But I don't see how hard it is to use the iPad. You know, it sounds like that's a very, you know, somebody's not teaching the kids how to use it. I mean, I'm sure those kids can teach us how to use it. Mm-hmm. And my question is, do we buy the software, the books, and install them in the iPads, or the kids need, the students need to go to the internet, use the internet to get to the books in iCloud or whatever, you know. Now, if we can install, if the iPad's got enough memories to install the books, I have no problem.
Well, that's what he.
Because I agree with you, Mark, because this is the view. I had to admit it, but what's going on right now it shows that we need to teach the young generation how to, not only how to use them, but to use it properly. And if we needed to be constantly in the usage, hey, there's another policy coming up. We can always write a policy and tell whoever needs to know how to use them and what they're for. We can put it down in the policy.
Knew that would make Luigi smile.
Policies mean nothing if they're not enforced. So as long as it's enforced, I'm happy.
Now, I agree with you all 100%. And I'm not opposed to iPads. I'm just opposed to the way we rolled it out in the past.
Hey, like I said, Tim, we suck at rolling things out. We have for 8 years that I've been on the board almost.
Yes, and before that.
And it's not just iPads.
I know it's not. And that's why I said I'm going to be questioning everything we roll out. And I don't want to hear it's almost ready or we're close, or I want to know when it's ready. Or what do you need to make it ready? Do we need something? Tell us, we'll get it. But I don't want anything halfway done.
Tim said he'll get it.
So again, it's a large expenditure. There's been some conversation around this since at least the last 2 years since I've been here. So, you know, if the board feels that we need to have more conversation or table this or think about it, I mean, we understand that. We understand it. You know, you're doing it's right.
No, motion in a second. Discussion. Anything else?
I'm going to be with Tim on this one because after watching all of them cases of brand new textbooks at the surplus auction and having somebody tell me, well, we had to spend the money or we were going to lose it. Well, we spent the money and we lost it anyhow because them books were of no value to anybody. Yeah, and I don't want to see the same thing happen with this iPad program.
Can we do a roll call? I think it's going to be easier.
All right, we're going to do a roll call.
Mr. Brooks,
Yes.
Brown,
Reluctantly, yes.
That's not a thing.
I know. Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
DeFrancesco,
Yes.
Giroux,
Yes.
Gulick,
Yes.
Johnston,
I'm going to be the dissenter and say no.
Lynch,
Yes.
Valesky.
Yes.
8-1.
Appreciate everybody's time.
All right, motion passes.
Personnel Committee, Mr. Brooks is the chairperson. I'd like to vote on items A through E in a consent agenda.
On behalf of the committee, so moved. Brooks?
Second, Brown.
Discussion?
Yeah, roll call, please.
Any discussion? All right, we're going to do a roll call.
Okay. Mr. Brown,
Yes.
Davis,
Yes.
DeFrancesco,
No?
Giroux,
Yes.
Gulick,
Yes.
Johnston,
No.
Lynch,
No.
Valesky,
No.
Brooks,
Yes.
5-4.
All right, motion passes 5-4.
Thank you. Facilities and Transportation Committee, Mr. Johnson, Chairman. Item A, I just want to update you that we are still moving forward with the potential Guaranteed Energy Savings Act, the GISA project with McClure. McClure will be on site to gather that information for their IGA next week. They're spending 2 days here. Item B is also an informational item. I wanted to, as things began to move fast and furious with the COVID-19, we had a conversation, in Finance Committee, we've had conversations in the the Facilities Committee regarding some of our summer work and capital projects. So I just attached that memo there so the board has an idea of some of the summer projects that we're not only working on, but that we're gonna be starting early, due to the fact that we have the ability. One of the two that jump to mind are the Maplewood, Elementary School and High School roof repairs. So we've just kind of highlighted those in a memo for you. Please let me know. You have already approved some of those items, and you will approve some of those items as we move forward. Item C is recommend approval of the attached contract with Era Richmond to market and sell the property located at 23058 Gravel Run Road, also known as the Woodcock Academy, with our initial listing price of $28,000, which is what our appraisal was.
Motion?
On behalf of the committee, I make that motion.
Second, Gulick.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
Item D, we're recommending approval of the donation of the fencing around the abandoned baseball field and softball field to the French Creek Valley Association Little League. This is no cost to the district. This is on our plans to clean up our property above the auditorium across the road, Mook Road, and reuse that space for other activities. So the FCVA will remove, transport, and install that at their complex.
You need a motion on that?
Yes.
On behalf of committee, so moved. Johnston.
Second, Brown.
Any discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you. Athletic Committee, Mr. Gulick, Chairman. Item A is for information. Typically, when we have our work session, we tend to discuss certain things and move through relatively quickly for our voting meetings. However, I wanted to try to use this opportunity to kind of keep people abreast on what we're working on currently as we continue to move through this unique situation with the closure. So May and June are typically months that we begin to approve fall coaches, extracurricular, extra compensatory education positions, summer facility use, and we even start to approve some fall 2020 field trips, overnight trips, such as tournaments in Hershey or Bucks County. But right now, with all that's going on with the COVID-19 and the possibility of an abbreviated fall season, we're not so sure what this looks like at the beginning of the school year. So right now, I just want to let everybody know that we're not moving anything to the voting agenda to appoint or hire individuals or approve these things until probably the July meeting, July 7. We've closed down all of our facilities internally through June. July 4th is I think on a Sunday. No, it's a Saturday. So we figure that, if it's still safe to do so and the governor has moved people to green and defined what the green phase is, that we'll be able to start opening our facilities up. So again, we continue to be hopeful that come August 10th, we can start and have football camp on time. Item B is a recommendation. Recommend approval to accept the athletic program recommendations that was outlined in a May 9, 2020 memo. This would be for the district to start petition to PIAA in District 10 that we have a new boys and girls spring track program. And there are coaching positions. We haven't figured out which school would be yet, but we're looking to move forward with that recommendation.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second,
Second,
Brown.
Brooks.
Any discussion?
I beat you.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
Finance Committee, Mr. Brown, Chairman. Item A, Treasurer's Report. Recommend approval of the Treasurer's Reports as attached.
So moved.
Second, anybody?
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
Item B, recommend approval of the disbursements as attached.
On behalf of the committee, so move.
Second, Brooks.
You got beat.
Luigi already.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
Item C is recommend approval of the 2021 proposed final general fund operating budget and millage rates, and to authorize the business manager to prepare the PD 2028 budget document as attached. If I could just provide some information, Brian provided a significant amount of information under the public comment, and there are several attachments there. These are the similar attachments that we've had in conversations at prior meetings, as well as prior finance committee meetings. This has a real estate neutral millage increase for Crawford County, so no tax increase or millage increase, and a very minor increase to Venango County due to the statutory regulations. So even though we're not increasing the millage there, millage increases. I'm sure you're familiar with this, having been in two counties as well. There is an operating deficit of $1.5 million this year. We believe that the use of the fund balance to cover that deficit is a good use of this, even though it is a one-time injection into our operating fund. I can tell you that this upcoming school year is not as challenging as we anticipate the 21-22 budget year. We are already looking at staffing this year to possibly not filling positions, only to have to furlough individuals the upcoming year. The state is also having a very unique two-part budget where there's going to be a July to November budget and then a December on budget. We'll keep you updated as we know more information. This truly is a unique time, and everyone understands that the lack of revenue, tax revenue, gaming revenue, lottery, et cetera, is going to weigh heavy on our citizens. So this will be voted on in June. This is to approve the proposed budget so that we can advertise this and have a copy available for individuals to review.
Do we need a motion for a preliminary approval?
Yes.
I move to accept the recommendation for.
We need a second.
Second.
Any discussion?
Yeah, I just got one question. If by any chance the governor tell us that we can open the schools again, but they can't find any money, are we still going to be open even if we don't have any money to operate, if we don't get any money from the state?
I believe the state would say that that's a local decision, Luigi. I don't know what else
Of course
to say.
they would.
I don't know.
Just asking.
I think we'll be in good shape.
Nothing else is a local decision.
Let's hope for the best.
I've
Any
only
other-
I've got one thing I want to just say that I know it's only $1.5 million deficit, and we have the money in the general fund balance, which is awesome. I just want to make it clear that we let this go one other time and end up with an $8 million deficit, and it really hurt our district. It really hurt our district. We lost a lot of students over this. We lost a lot of programs. I will vote for it because of the time we're in, but I just want the school board to remember, some of you were on the board when this happened last time. If we do not keep up with this, this will bite us again. And in a couple years, we're going to be in the same boat, and we're all going to be whining it's everybody's fault. And I'm telling you, the 9 school board members, it's our fault if we let this happen again. So I got to say.
Any other comments? We need to do roll call.
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed?
No. Brown,
Who's
Mr.
that?
Brown.
Mr. Brown.
Oh, you voted no?
You're opposed?
I think we're crazy not to. Yeah, that's okay. You guys got your vote.
I was just making sure I understood that you were voting no.
Yes.
All right, I think we got it. Thank you.
All right, motion passes.
Item D, recommend approval to set a 0% penalty for the real estate tax collected from December 1 to December 31, 2020. This recommendation would be only for the 2021 school year. And again, we're just trying to help taxpayers out, get their property tax paid, I guess, on time now with an extension.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second, Brooks.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Item E, resolve that the Pencrest Board of School District approve to exonerate the district's elected tax collectors from collecting the outstanding 1920 real estate tax and per capita taxes pursuant to Public School Law 72, Public School 5511.37 as attached. We do this annually.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second, Brooks.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
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 Opposed? Motion passes.
Item F, recommend approval of the PSBA All Access membership for the 2021 school year as attached. This is the same PSBA invoice that we received prior.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second, Brooks.
Discussion?
Yeah, just one question. How much is the fee right this year?
$12,966.12.
Thank you.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Item G, recommend approval to appoint Brian Hobson, business manager, as the treasurer of the Pencrest School District effective July 1 through June 30, 2021.
On behalf of the committee, so moved.
Second, Brooks.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion passes.
Policy Committee, Mr. D. Francesco, Chairman. The 3 policies that we're asking for approval today all deal with, I guess, changes that were not expected as a result of the coronavirus. And if I could and go out of order, I'll address them all and then maybe have some discussion about all of them. The use of live stream video policy 815.3, obviously we're live streaming more now and engaging with Zoom, Teams, Google Meet, Class Dojo, and a variety of other programs through our iPads and teachers from a variety of things, from speech to reading to you name it. So that policy again has been vetted by PSBA. Also, the IU uses a very similar policy. Mr. Watts has weighed in on it as well. Policy 213 deals with the reporting and assessment of student progress. The only change in that is there is a paragraph that says class rank, talks about grades 11 and 12, outlines that, class rank is calculated at the end of every year, junior year, and the calculation is a grade percent multiplied by credits, weight, et cetera. Class rank, valedictorian, salutatorian will be calculated to the 100th decimal point. So that would come out of that policy. Class rank policy, and Mr. Berkey, could you put that up on the screen for me for any individual at home who doesn't have access or doesn't have two screens running? This policy has been adapted significantly. And we had a conversation about this by changing the class rank policy to the recognition of academic achievement. And I'll explain, I guess, from afar, the rationale for this. We have had conversation with administration and central office as well as the schools. And specifically, this comes from the issue that we're having right now, we would have with class rank. In other words, when I first got here, I was here June 4th, I think June 5th, we had an issue with class rank for valedictorian, salutatorian. One of our schools had taken valedictorian, salutatorian out 6 decimal places to determine who was the valedictorian, salutatorian. Our policy currently says 100th decimal point, but that was the practice and has been the practice to ensure that we clearly delineate that class rank. Class rank, if you know, goes out to the 6th decimal place. This year, we did with our continuity of education plan, it interrupted the third 9 weeks. So we're not sure what is the most fair and equitable way to determine class rank for the class of 2020. Should we use the end of the year grade point average, grade percentage, even though the fourth quarter's pass-fail? Should we use the abbreviated third 9-week termination point, even though not all the kids got to turn in all their assignments, or not all the teachers may have upgraded their work, the grades in the grade book? Or should we use the second semester, the end of the first semester grades, because they were the most complete? So depending on where we cut off those grade percentages will determine whom the valedictorian or salutatorian possibly is at 3 different schools. So how do we do this in the most fair and equitable manner? And we've had quite a long conversation at the policy committee, which again was a voting meeting, and I believe that the policy was supported. We're going to do valedictorian, salutatorian this year and cut it off at the 100th decimal place. And if we have 2 valedictorians and 3 salutatorians at one of our schools, so be it. We're still not damaging, if you are causing any harm to a student. However, because this affects the following 3 classes, because grade percentage is cumulative year to year, we could find ourselves in the exact same situation for the next 3 school years. So because we could come into that same exact situation, what we decided and recommended to the policy committee was to create a category called graduating with distinction, which is a cumulative 98% or higher, which is accomplishment unto itself. We think is that, again, would recognize high academic achievement for those 4 years. So in a sense, what we're saying with this policy is after this year, we're going to eliminate the valedictorian and salutatorian from each of our high schools moving forward. However, if a student needed class rank calculated for the purpose of scholarship or entrance into post-secondary institution, we could provide that. But there may be 5 number 1s, and then the next number could be a 6. then there could be 6 number 6s based on how you calculate class rank. We tried to get this out and have as much conversation as possible, again, because we're trying to cause no harm to students. I heard back from 2 parents, one I'm going to speak with again tomorrow, but was concerned that we were doing away with valedictorian in the future. Another individual had a nice conversation with today and also exchanged some emails, understands our rationale, talked to their child. They're okay with it. I think they were right on the cusp there of a number 1, 2, 3, and 4. And typically, if you're not the top 5 students or even really the top 3 students, you're not even in this conversation because, again, it's the number of courses, the credits, and the weight over a period of time. So I wanted to explain, I guess, the general rationale, again, for why this change and why the need to vote on these policies tonight so that we can move forward and, again, rank our class, have our valedictorian graduations, et cetera. So I would open that. Hopefully that explains some of the rationale behind the changes.
I have a question for parliamentary procedure. Mr. President, do you feel it's okay if I lump all 3 policies together for approval?
We could, I mean.
We could, I mean,
I can read them separate. They're short.
it doesn't matter, I mean.
Okay.
But
All right.
I just wasn't sure if there was discussion.
I recommended I recommend the approval for policy 213. I move to recommend the approval of a policy 213 as described by the superintendent.
Second, Gulick.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Item B is approve recommendation of policy 214 as attached.
I move to accept the recommendation of the policy, of the policy committee for policy 214.
Second, Johnson.
Any discussion? The only thing I'll say is, I mean, I understand the whole rationale, and I'll say the same thing I did at the policy committee. I'm not in favor. I think we should eliminate it this year, just to be consistent, because this year is no different than next year. And I appreciate everybody's input at the policy meeting, but I'm not in favor of doing valedictorian and salutatorian this year, just because it's not gonna be equal. It's not gonna be any different than next year or the year after that, so. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Aye.
Item C, recommend approval of policy 815.3 as attached.
I move to accept the recommendation of policy committee for policy 215.3.
It's 815.3.
Yes, 815.3.
Second, Gulick.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
School Safety Committee, Mr. Brown, Chairman, recommend approval of the proposal with Open Systems Pittsburgh for infusion detection system upgrades as attached. Just a brief overview. This is our alarm system in all 6 schools to update and modify this program. We also will, most likely, I will retool our PCCD grant for this coming school year and include that. And that we did have it budgeted under our capital projects, but I hope we're going to use some grant money for this. Again, good use of grant money, one-time expenditure.
All right.
Yeah, on behalf of the committee, so move.
Second, Brooks.
Jeff, you are slow tonight.
Yeah,
Any discussion?
Bad Wi-Fi.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Motion passes.
Item 12, Crawford County Career and Technology Center report, Mr. Johnson, representative. Mr. Johnson, do you have a report this evening?
I do not.
All right. Intermediate unit number 5, Mr. Brooks, representative. Is there a report this evening, Mr. Brooks?
I do not have a report other than Dr. Maynard, who's been in charge of the IU5 and done a great job, in my opinion, has announced his intention to retire, and they'll be looking for a replacement for him.
Thank you. PSBA legislative report, Mr. Gulick, representative. There's an awful lot going on, just trying to keep up, but anything you'd like to highlight?
Nothing specifically, no.
We are trying to keep track here in the central office of all of the legislation and possible changes. But I'll agree with Mr. Gulick. There is so much to keep track of, and it seems like it changes every day, every week for sure. So I appreciate all your efforts. Item 15 is new business. Board member remarks?
Any board member remarks? I'm just kind of open it up. I don't know if anybody has anything to say to our many fans out there.
I just
Well,
want
the
to
only
say,
thing I have to,
go ahead.
the only thing I have to say is that we're going through a hard time, and actually, you know, it's putting a hardship on our superintendents, our teachers, and our students, parents, and everybody. And I worry, you know, where I come from, we worry a lot, and I worry about where the money's going to come from for next year and the year after that. But hopefully, you know, this country pulled out of even the greater hardships, and I'm sure we're going to come ahead anyway. But it's a question of time. In the meantime, everybody's suffering, one way or the other. And I hope that eventually everything's going to go back to normal.
Amen.
It's the first time in my life, you know. I'm not a spring chick anymore. I'm one of those in the group ages that I really have to be careful according to what's being reported. But I've never seen anything like this. You know, I've been around for a while, and this is really, it's hard for me to accept it, and it's hard for me to believe what's going on. But let's hope for the best.
All right, anybody else?
Yeah, I just wanted to thank all the teachers and students for their hard work in this difficult time. I know they're all doing what they can and as much as they can and even more. I couldn't be more proud of them, and also our administration, Dr. Glasspool and everyone at central office. I don't know how they pulled it all together and are doing what they're doing, but I for one appreciate it, and just wanted to congratulate everybody. Hopefully we can get through this sooner rather than later and get back to, like Luigi said, some semblance of normalcy.
We should also shout out to all the food service workers for getting the meals.
Absolutely.
Kits. We appreciate all their hard work.
All right.
And the parents too.
Announcements?
Announcements. The board met virtually for executive session on April 22, 29, May 6, May 11 to discuss safety and security, personnel matters, and real estate.
All right, motion to adjourn?
So moved.
Second, Brooks.
All
Thank you, Mr. Brooks.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Meeting adjourned. All right, we're